Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. The Fatal Fury City of the Wolves open beta test is now concluded. It is now over. And in this video, I'm just kind of looking to compile some of my thoughts about the game. There's definitely some good. There's definitely, a little bit of bad. I would definitely say the pros outweigh the cons, but it certainly has been a mixed experience for some. And now that I've had a couple days, just, think about this experience as a whole, I just want to talk about it. So we'll bust this video into 3 sections. What I consider the pros, what I consider some of the cons, things that might need to change, and also just some personal thoughts about the game that don't fit into one group or another. And it's always easier to start with a smile, so let's start with the positive stuff. Let's start with the pros. What was good about the City of the Wolves open beta test? So for one, the core gameplay loop is very, very good. This is, it's a fighting game made for fighting game players. It's still very much unidentifiably an SNK game versus, say, like a Capcom game. We have characters that can run. We have multiple kinds of jumps. We have a lot of advanced defensive mechanics versus a lot of more modern fighters are trying to cut back on defense. And specifically in the realm of defense, I'm finding where that's going to be a lot of where the player growth is going to happen. Because nobody was being optimal during this beta. Like, let's put it out for that, right? Like, maybe we're getting some cool combos, but that's not where the depth of this game lies, not the combo system. And it's a very good combo system. You got the classics, hit confirm into whatever, sure. But also just the layer of feints, breaks, all that just add a lot of creativity, a lot of combos. Of course, we'll find whatever the optimal routes are, and then just that's what we'll do forever. But the system feels good. But when it comes to stuff like just defense, the fact that there's guard cancels, right? And the fact that you can just defend on your 3 different layers of jumps as well. So like that's where a lot of the depth is going to come, and that's going to take a good while for people just to really explore that in real match situations. Because realistically, the vast majority of the audience are not exactly, Mark of the Wolves old pros, right? And hey, fair enough. That's a 26-year-old game. No one's meant to be, right? So it's going to be fun just seeing a lot of people explore those concepts of the gameplay. And of course, a lot of the more modern concerns, like, we have, counter hit combos that change the frame data, the wild punish system, and of course, everything with the rev system on top of that. I've mentioned it before in other videos, but this game very, very, very clearly dodges the dumb down for babies argument that has always been very prevalent in modern fighting games. Because if anything, I've heard the exact opposite argument, right? Like, this game's too hard, which can be scary in and of itself. People can be scared away if a game is too hard, but that just means the depth is there. Just little things like right here. I learned with Vox, you can do stand heavy into feint, into quick jab, check, hit confirm, and then get smaller combos, or go right into a super if you have the meter. That's something I didn't know right away. It wasn't intuitive to me, but it's like, oh, I discovered it naturally over the course of playing, and I just felt good to add it to the repertoire. So basically, the core gameplay loop feels good, and that's definitely been the most overwhelming positive thing I've seen about the game. When everything works, and some of the problems is not everything works, but when everything works, the game feels pretty damn good. And on top of just gameplay, like usability, like stuff like the rev button, right? It allows for rev guard and a bunch of other features, and maybe should allow for more macros. We'll talk about that later. But if you just hold the rev guard outside of its core function and you jump, you automatically get a short hop. That's amazing. I know so many people who try to pick up SNK style games and they struggle so much with the concept of hopping. And that's completely fair. Hopping is generally a tight window. Like, it's usually like 4 frames. And if you hold it for 5 frames, you screwed up, you get a full jump instead, right? So if you're not used to that's rough. And now just hold the rev button, jump, and it's always a hop every single time. That's great. Or if you're grounded, hold rev button, hit back or forward, and it automatically runs or dashes for you. No need to double tap. That's legitimately fantastic quality of life. I love that. Like, by the end of the beta for Vox, I figured out like a baby Oki setup, but whatever, right? You do the command grab and you double dash and you can meaty heavy punch them on their wake up. And just holding rev button and holding forward and just auto timing the 2 dashes, that made it super easy. It made it super fun. Just good stuff. Added layer of accessibility. I like it. Another thing I love is the art direction, like, kind of like the whole 90s-ish comic style they're going for. The stages are incredible. Like, this stage has a day-night cycle. There's good just distinction of colors going on. Like, everything is so bright, so vibrant. And that's very clear across like all the stages, like what we've seen in the beta, also clearly in all the various trailers for all the characters, showing stages that we did not have access to in the beta. The art design of the game is impeccable. It's fantastic. Like, it's very clear this game does not have a Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 style budget, but given what they're working with, like, this is very, very good. I find so many modern fighters just have so many drab stages. You know, they're technically proficient, but they're not very interesting to look at. Like Street Fighter 6, I think, is a strong example of that. Like, I like Street Fighter 6, sure, but like I only like a handful of the stages. Most of them, I can't bear to look at them. Comparatively here, I like pretty much every stage shown for the most part, and obviously the art direction is really strong. Apparently Terry stage, parts of it run at 30 FPS. That I don't know. I mostly switch between boxes and Jenny stage. If true, that's a very unfortunate. Hopefully that is fixed come launch. But yeah, just general art direction, style, everything for stages, characters, all that. It's good. More gameplay stuff. I also specifically really like the rev blow system, to the point where like I was changing my rev blow, like my SPG, depending on which character I was fighting. Like if I'm playing Vox, for most characters, I'll put the SPG in the middle. Against Kine, I want that front and center because I want access to his aerial dive bomb SPG attack immediately. Because then I can just jump in and armor through the aerial fireball or, you know, the flash kick coming my way. And what I really love about it is it's very, very clearly designed that everyone is meant to have their own case uses. Like, yes, universal armored attack, but every rev blow is kind of designed with the character in mind. Like, say, Jenny. Jenny does not have amazing anti-air overall, but her SPG, her rev blow attack, is her best anti-air because it just goes straight up. It activates very fast. You basically can't jump at her with any kind of reliability while she has that ongoing. I've said it many times over the years, but universal mechanics do not affect characters universally. Like, let's say we roll back the clock to the Street Fighter 4 days. Focus attack is a universal mechanic and it works the same way for every character, except due to the nature of characters not working the same, there's haves and have-nots, you know? Fei Long, focus attack is an integral part of his gameplay. For T-Hawk, it might as well be useless. So taking the concept of universal armored attack and SPG with the rev blow, but tailoring each actual attack to the character, that I think is actually fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's going to be balance implications, and some people are going to have broken rev blows, and some people are going to have garbage rev blows, right? That's the nature of fighting games, but I like at least they're trying to personalize the universal mechanic, just so it's not going to be as clear, cut, and dry like, say, a Street Fighter 4. So, good stuff on that, basically. And there's one point of positive reinforcement I want to put in here that is getting criticized, and I don't agree with it one bit. That's the lobby system. Now, yes, there's dumb things about the lobby system with like the mouse cursor thing. That's not ideal. But the core lobby system, this is the King of Fighters 14 lobby system. And the King of Fighters 14 lobby system is basically the best of all time. Like, is it a little drab and unimaginative? Perhaps, sure. But is it functional? Yes. It's very easy to just get a lot of people in the lobby. You can all play a bunch of different matches, all separately from each other. And also you can spectate them all separately from each other. Done. Peak design. It's all it ever needed to be, and it's better than anything else I've played in any other fighting game. I remember when KOF 15 came out, people were very much lamenting, like, how come you didn't just copy-paste the 14 lobby system? Because it's just better than what we had in 15, right? So, I love the lobby system. Once again, yes, the cursor stuff, it's weird, not ideal. You can just dump it, as far as I'm concerned. And at least on PC, apparently the mouse does not work as a mouse cursor, even though you have a cursor on screen. We'll talk about PC accessibility later. But other than that, it's a great lobby system. I love it. I'm happy it's back. So basically, the game's good. Like, as far as the core game, when you're playing the game goes, as far as I'm concerned, that's awesome. And a lot of other little things. Like, I love that there's just a lot of little character barks. The characters talk a lot during the fight. I like that in a fighting game. Shouldn't just be all grunts.
Ah, shit. Ah, shit. Ah, shit.
Okay, so big love in there, right? Now let's get to some of the negatives, some of the downsides, some of the not as good things about the game. So number one with a bullet is matchmaking. Once again, I've mentioned this before, I didn't particularly have this problem myself. Maybe it's because I was playing on console, I don't know. Like, yeah, sure, I had the odd time where like it might have taken like a minute or so to get a match, but I was also playing like 2 a.m. a lot of the time. Like, that's nothing I haven't experienced in any fighting game, regardless of like population or matchmaking ability or whatever. Like, overall, I would say my matchmaking experience was kind of just good, positive, but that's clearly not the case for the public at large. Otherwise, it would not have been such an issue and such a, outbreak of complaints. This particular issue is why we might get a second beta. I kind of hope so, personally, because I want to play more of the game. But that, obviously, it sucks. So I hope for the people who are suffering from the matchmaking issues, it can be identified and resolved. We covered it in the video from a few days ago, but SNK is very aware of the issue and they're working their best to fix it. Now, another issue, not gameplay related necessarily, but very, very annoying, is just menu lag. Like, everything about the menu systems, and I tried this on PC as well. Like, I downloaded the PC version of the beta as well, and it's the same on console and on PC. The menus just moving around, it feels oddly slow and laggy. It does not feel good to move around the menus. Like, it just feels like there's a large amount of delay just doing any basic thing, and I don't know why. Like, I thought maybe something about the beta was broken. The first time I booted up and like I'm moving around the menus, I'm like, why is this so slow? And it's not a deal breaker. It's not a deal breaker because the gameplay is what matters. But, you're going to spend a lot of time in the menus, right? Like, that's how fighting games work. And a lot of the menu stuff just felt bad to move around with. And of course, we talked about the lobby, the cursor. Why is there a cursor? Just let me use the D-pad, or if I'm on PC, just let me use my mouse. Don't give me this weird cursor thing. Just get rid of it. And while we're on gripes, so the tutorialization of the game, I'm someone who deals heavily in, fighting game tutorials, fighting game education, right? It's serviceable. It's not outright bad or nothing, but neither is it great, especially because it doesn't teach you everything about the game. Like, that should be the bare minimum, right? It tells you everything about the game, and it doesn't. Things that are super core to like competitive play, like wake ups. Am I going to do forward rolls, backward rolls? There's multiple kinds of rolls on wake up as well. None of that is mentioned in this tutorial at all. And that's a big swing and a miss for me, like, hey, check out the beginner guide when the game comes out. I'll cover the stuff the tutorial doesn't, I guess. Sure. So I guess that works for me in a way, but but this it should be in the game. I don't know why it isn't. Like, I'm certain at some point it'll tutorialize you on that mechanic, just not in the actual tutorial, apparently. Like, for the menu, this thing with Rock, I'm 99% sure this is episodes of Southtown, which is like the RPG mode in the game, probably the primary single player mode. And at some point there, you'll have a battle and like, hey, here, learn all the wake ups, right? Learn all the roll stuff. That's good. That's fine. You should do stuff like that, but it should also be in the tutorial. Also, while we're here, the jukebox is obviously going to be jukebox mode. Because she's an alternate color, I think that's going to be the color edit mode. The Preacher, though, and Dong here, I got no idea. So, post your comments below what you think these features might be in the menu. I don't know. But yeah, so there's frustrations there. Another very sore point when it comes to gameplay is macros. So we have buttons to spare. So macros shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to macro everything you want, and yet you cannot. The most common complaint you're going to hear, and I've mentioned this myself in the previous video, is no macro for feints. Feints are a core gameplay mechanic, if not for combos alone, but other features like a neutral to fake people out. And you need feints in this game. That's not a maybe, that's a definite. And if you're on stick or on leverless, regardless, if you're on, the arcade style button layout, it is annoying to do feints. The buttons are out of the way versus the 4 core ABCD, SNK buttons, right? For me on default layout, you got to shift your entire hand over. It moves the flow of the game. Like, I've tried to do Fierce, go for feint, and then move my hand over and like I flub stuff and like that stuff, muscle memory you build over time, sure, but it's annoying. There should absolutely be macros for rev plus heavy kick, rev plus heavy punch. Basically every combination of buttons that does something in this game, there should be the macro there if you want it. If you don't want it, sure, go nuts. That's fine, right? But obviously lots of players do want it because it helps out a lot. Now here's the thing. I do actually truly believe they're going to fix this. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal because it's an easily implement for them. But if it's not implemented, this might be a game I just play on pad instead. Like, I have that official PS5 controller with the back triggers. I'll just bind those so that's feint, and then I'll just go from there. It'll just be easier on my life. Because that's the way I'm looking at it, basically. It's just about ease of use. I don't want to fight with the game. I don't want to fight with the buttons. And if they don't add it, then that's kind of what I'll do. But then again, once again, I think it's an easy fix. I'm pretty sure they'll add it. They're listening. That's definitely the best thing about this beta, is they're not just like taking your criticism and throwing it in the garbage. They're very clearly listening. Trust me on that. I know. So I think that'll be fixed, thankfully. Other small quibble, I guess, real quick, stages. So once again, I like the stages. I think the stages are cool, colorful, vibrant. I love them. The stages are great, but we can only pick a stage. So like every match you're watching here, I was just always on Vox's stage because that was the only option I had available to me. I would have liked to have rotated between stages, like my favorites, like you can do in Street Fighter 6. And they should do a lot of things from Street Fighter 6 because Street Fighter 6 did a lot of smart things. We'll get to more of that in a moment, but it's just something that's just annoying. You know, we're going to have a game where every character is going to get their own stage. When's the last time that happened? Like, I feel like they're not getting enough praise for that. That's actually kind of sick. I actually love that because a stage is part of a character's personality. It adds to the character themselves beyond just the core gameplay of hitting buttons. But regardless, let me pick my favorite stage, but let me pick my favorite stages. And then when I'm playing online, well, then I'll get my variety of favorite stages, just like Street Fighter 6. Now, just like Street Fighter 6, also mentioned before, but I really want to hammer this home, they should really change up how the rank system works. I would love it if they had, you know, ELO, just like Street Fighter 6. Maybe that's a bridge too far for now. Think about it, though, because they'd have to redo the whole system. But one should be easy fix is make every rank, you know, character specific. Make it so I don't get to whatever rank, and then every character I pick is just going to be that rank forever, you know, because that's not how Street Fighter 6 does it. Every rank is fully unique. That's not how Tekken 8 does it. Hell, even old games like Virtua Fighter 5, that's not how they do it either. Like, let me give you a scenario. You're super sick at the game, and you got S rank. And I didn't really see many S rank people, so they were friggin' grinding. Shout outs to Juicebox, because I know he put in that grind to get that S rank. But you're at S rank. That's awesome, right? And then, okay, we got our first DLC character coming out. That's going to be Andy Bogard, right? And then you go to online, well, you know, let's play some Andy. And then you're up against, you know, S rank people playing their main characters, and you're brand new trying to learn with Andy up against the killers, the sharks in the water. And that's not going to be a terribly fun experience. Like, yeah, you can go play casual, sure, whatever. That's there as well. But it's just a good feel for every character to have their own ranking. Because it's going to be like any fighting game. You're going to have characters you're better with, characters you're worse with, and that's fine. It doesn't mean you don't want to play the whole cast, right? You don't want to play everybody, but you got to be realistic that some characters won't perform as well as others. But now, if you're in the scenario where there's only the one rank, you're not going to want to tank your rank. Like, I know we always say rank doesn't matter, blah, 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 blah. That's what we all tell each other. Rank is the only thing that matters, okay? Let's get real. When you're up, it's 3 in the morning, you're playing rank is the only thing that matters, okay? You don't want to lose your rank. You're not going to switch to your bad character and lose more rank when you're just grinding and rage playing after you just lost a bad game. And if we don't have character-specific ranks, then that all just falls apart, because now you're not incentivized to play different characters. And if you're not incentivized to play different characters, you're not necessarily getting all the fun out of the game. It's really as simple as this. Every character having their own ranking only adds to the game. It takes away exactly 0. It only makes everyone's gameplay experience better. There is absolutely no reason to do it. There is a reason why this stuff is now the standard, and it's frankly archaic of SNK not to follow through on this. I don't know if this is a thing you can fix for day one launch or something, but this absolutely should be a plan and a priority for them to add. Things like ELO, rank seasons, like all these like grander things like Street Fighter 6 does and does immensely well. You should also probably try to copy those, but follow the priority first, and priority number 1 is character specific ranks for online play. Okay, so now all that said, now finally just to end off here, I just want to talk about the me stuff. Like, this isn't necessarily good or bad. It's just me and just some oddities about the game or just things I've noticed. One thing is I noticed there's not really any character, at least that I've noticed anyways, that has good button anti-air. I'm talking like, say, if comparison to Street Fighter 6, like E-Honda's stand heavy punch or JP's crouch heavy punch. Everyone has a DP, and sure, because everyone has a DP, right? And you can DP break and get amazing anti-air damage in this game. But I suck at doing Dragon Punch motions on leverless. I actually switched to leverless right about when Street Fighter 6 came out. So I started doing, Dragon Punch motions with the leverless shortcuts. And it made me bad at doing Dragon Punches the real way, because you can't do the leverless shortcut ways Street Fighter 6 allows in this game. So it's going to be one of those deals where I kind of got to unlearn what I've learned. Now, not every character is going to have, the Dragon Punch equivalent. Like, say, T-Zoc, and you might notice my name if you haven't already. Sort of perhaps over-investing myself in T-Zoc. But the thing is, when you're slow and bad, and in my case, old, too, right? When you're not good with the dragon punches in this game with 3 different jump arcs and jumps being very, very powerful in comparison to, say, a Street Fighter 6, if you're not on the ball with those uppercuts, those dragon punch moves, you're gonna get jumped on a lot and it's gonna be real bad. Like, there's the crush system, and crushes are alright if you're very early on in the jump, but they're no frame 1 invincible or nothing like that. So they're not as always ideal. So just personally, just for me, I kind of hope there's some people with just like good buttony anti-air. That or more charge characters. There's Kind's Zoner. I don't like that archetype, right? I don't like that there's a lot of charge erasure going on because Kind lost his entire charge moveset except for 1 move, which kind of sucks. Definitely a trend in fighting games that there's less and less and less charge mechanics, which is mind-boggling to me, because when I was a kid back in the early 90s in the arcade days, we all played charge characters because charges were easier than motions. Like, at least where I was growing up, E Honda was the most popular character because he could do the headbutt, which just charge, was easy to do, and you smash buttons. You know, the mash motion, right? And everyone could do that versus like motions was too complex for our child brains. And it was Chun-Li as well, but like back in the day, there was complications with playing a girl character. Thankfully, you guys don't got to deal with that no more. And nowadays, charge is seen as the harder compared to motions, which I just don't get. That's old man complaining, I know. But still, regardless, anyways. The other thing, and this is very much a me thing, it's not the game's bad thing, is command grabs suck in this game. Now, granted, we don't have all the grab characters available to us. Obviously, T-Zoc is going to be the primary grappler. And we got Kevin, too. Like, Kevin has a grab that he can combo from with the EX stuff. And he also seemingly has an anti-air grab as well that you can see in his trailer. So, there's, multiple layers. We don't have every grappler or grappler-esque character represented here. But for the beta, we have things like Hotaru. We have things like Vox. That's why I played Vox and Hotaru personally. And, the grabs go nowhere. Like, they got no range. The damage is fine. This is an SNK style game. Characters can run, they can dash. There's 3 kinds of jumps. It's easier to land the grab normally, right? So it shouldn't be very high damage like Street Fighter 6. That's perfectly fine. But the grabs got no range. Like, every setup I could figure out for Vox for a grab, you can literally just backwalk out of all of them. Coupled with the fact that there is insane amounts of throw protection on stuff like Wake Up or even on Block Stun, just makes it difficult to chuck someone. This is somewhere, admittedly, I am very biased when it comes to any kind of grappling in any kind of fighting games. If you followed the channel any amount of time, you know that. That's fine. I understand. I am not impartial when it comes to command grabbing fools. But like, there's just points where like, I see people just walk out of my grabs and I'm like, man, that sucks. Granted, I know Hotaru and Vox are not meant to be dedicated grapplers, but I got to work with what I see, And this is what I got to work with, and it's just less than ideal. Let's put it that way. Like, throws are just weak in general. Like, there's all the throw protection I mentioned, even like base throws. Like, the throw tech window in this is like the biggest of any 2D fighter in a very, very long time. I understand one of the major complaints about Street Fighter 6 is throw loops, and rest assured, there ain't no throw loops here. There's going to be a million scummy ways for you to die in this game, for sure, but throw loops ain't going to be one of them. But just throws in general just seem very weak. And while I'm not here to make any declarations of balance or anything like that, given this is a very big thing here, very big caveat, Rock is the only character you can legitimately do practice mode with, because you can just do a tutorial and just practice with them all day, right? But Rock did feel like he was a step above the rest, if only because he seems to have every single option this game can give you. And granted, that's exacerbated by the fact that people could actually legitimately practice with him. So when you're fighting someone with Rock, they could put in the time and figure out the setups, figure out the combos, all that kind of stuff. But he just felt like a bit more on edge than the rest of the cast. Comparison in Vox, of the characters I played, Vox is definitely the worst. Like, yeah, Vox has easy big damage, but that never means you're good. Like, always in comparison to Street Fighter 6. But hey, Marissa has easy big damage. How's she doing? But once again, this is my ramble section. It's way too early to talk about balance. Just some quick thoughts on that. Other little things like, hey, SNK's not sure if they should do cosmetic DLC. Like, assuredly very informal, right? But I ran a poll, and trust me, the people want cosmetic DLC, SNK. We want more costumes. Please do not just give us that Terry pre-order costume and then leave it at that forever. You're a business, you want to make money. Trust me, there's a market looking for more costumes for characters. And to close out, SNK truly, really wants your feedback. So make sure to answer that questionnaire. I'll link the questionnaire in the video description, so you can just click it, just go fill everything out. They want this game to be the best game it can be. I want it to be the best game it can be. I'm pretty sure you want it to be the best game it can be. And honest feedback is definitely one of the best ways to get there. So give it to them. And other than all that, that's about the video. So overall, my experience is very positive. I like the game. There's a lot of little side things that aren't as ideal that could be better. Hopefully a lot of those can be fixed, but the core gameplay is very good and very fun. And they got something special here. And given the fact that they've already promised that they're going to support this game for years and years and years, they're not just going to throw it out, walk away, do the next game, right? So it gives me a lot of hope for the future. And as we close out here, I know your guys' feedback matters a lot, so please post what you think about the game in the comments below. Like, what do you like? What do you not like? This is the time. Now is the time. If they're gonna, change anything, now is the time to do it. So be as vocal as you can about what works and what doesn't. And other than all that, that is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Fatal Fury.